Hey everyone, welcome into the channel. It's Karen Lavender Clothesline, and I am actually still on Anna Maria in Florida. Yep, I came down for rest and relaxation, and the island got hit by a cyclone. That's usually how things go. But before we got the inclement weather, I had to say this time of resting and just laying on the beach was magnificent. Again, I will try to include a few snapshots or a few videos of what it is like down here on Anna Maria off the west coast of Florida. But today's video is going to be a video that I did not plan. I had planned to bring you thrifting, and while my last video I did take you thrifting with me, today the weather is really not good out. Just looking outside, it's kind of wild out there. And I thought, I'm gonna stay safe, I'm gonna stay inside and film a video. What should I film? And I put it out there on Instagram. If you guys wanted to send in your questions for me to answer, and boy, did you step up to the plate. I have so many questions, so I'm not gonna do them all. I will try to hit the most frequently asked questions. Now, if you're new to my channel, I am a full-time eBay reseller. I started selling on eBay probably about 12 years ago, and I have told that story before, but I will go over it a little bit again so you know what my story is. 4 years ago, I also jumped into making these YouTube videos. I never saw this coming, that this channel would just be what it is today. And I have all of the thanks to give to you guys who have been my faithful subscribers and watchers. And even for those of you that just pop in once in a while, I appreciate you guys. Also, a big shout out to my daughter, Lisa, who has been my editor the whole time. So that might answer a question right there. All right, so like I said, in today's video, we're gonna go over a few of the questions on how I became a reseller, how it began to fully support me. Now, let me just say, in another month, I'm going to be 64. So for the past 12 years, I have been doing this as a full-time living. It fully supports me. 4 years ago, I jumped into YouTube. My channel got monetized in 1 month, and YouTube started sending me checks. And now that is a second full-time income, which I bank. I put in the bank for retirement. All right, so if any of that interests you, grab yourself something to drink. The drink of the day for me today is green tea, because you can hear my voice is a little hoarse. I think I'm still just a little tired. So I realized that I had to write some of your questions on a piece of paper, because the questions are on my phone, and that's what I'm filming on. I will also try not to hit the table so much because you guys keep jumping. The first question is from Jamie. Thank you, Jamie. How many hours of sleep do you need? Do you end and relist your older store items, and how often? So I'm going to paraphrase the questions because I did have to write them down. So Jamie, I hope I covered your questions of what you wanted to know. How many hours of sleep do you need? Most nights I probably get between 6 and 7 hours of sleep, and some days I do stop in the middle of my day and lay down and take a nap. I think it's a Greek thing. And I just will lay on the couch and fall asleep for like 10 minutes just to reset, and that really does the trick. So I don't need a ton of sleep. Some nights I can sleep 8 hours, but most nights I sleep 6 to 7 and I just naturally wake up. I never set an alarm. All right, the next one. Do you end and relist your older store items? How often? All right, so when I first started selling on eBay, I learned the ropes as I went along. I tried different things. I tried promoted listings. I tried ending and relisting. And while eBay was my main and only part of the business, I did not have YouTube and I did not have Facebook Marketplace, local pickup. I had more time to spend on eBay. I was on the computer strictly for eBay rather than eBay and YouTube. I do from time to time end my listings, and I don't relist them. I do sell similar. When you end an item and you do sell similar, this creates a whole new item number for your items. So in other words, it's kind of like tricking the algorithm. It's assigning a new number, so the eBay system thinks it's a whole new item, which naturally moves you up in the search rank. Anytime you can get your items to the top of the first page, that that is what you're going for. So I end my items and I do sell similar. I might change a few words in the title or something like that, but basically because I usually carry between 3,500 and 4,000 listings in my eBay store, naturally I don't have time to end all of the old ones or all of the ones that might need tweaking. I do it from time to time. I will do it when I have a few extra minutes or when I think about it, but I don't regularly end my items and do sell similar. When I do this task, I do 25 items at a time, and I do it by bulk editing. So you go into bulk editing if you have the seller hub, and you end, I wouldn't do more than 25 items at a time because eBay's system can be glitchy, and I just end those listings. Then I go into them and I select them all as a little checkbox, and I push sell similar. The computer will load them. I might tweak a few, and then I hit submit. Let me caution you, if you're going to do this, you have to remember, once those 25 items have created a new item number and they are treated like a new listing, you have to remember to go into the ended 25 and delete them. You don't want to make the mistake of having both the ended and the new ones listing themselves, because then sooner or later the item will sell and you'll still have a listing up for it. Now, most times eBay system will catch this, but a lot of times they won't, and it can get you into trouble. So my best advice, if you're going to use that method, is to remember to delete the ones that you ended. I hope that's clear. Well, the rain is coming down, so I hope you can hear me, and I hope we don't get too much thunder and lightning. The next question is from the Groovy Flip. Hello, Groovy Flip. How come you say, I'm going to wait on that when you decide to not buy an item, instead of just saying, I'm not going to buy that item? When I go thrifting, what you're seeing in the film is not my complete shopping trip. Every YouTuber that does thrifting, you're seeing the majority of what's happening, but sometimes I can be putting something in my cart that you never see, and sometimes I can be taking something out of my cart because I decide later on in the shopping trip it's not really worth my time. Generally, what you see me pick up, I am buying, and generally what I put back, and I explain why I put it back, I am putting it back. But there are times when I am on the fence about something, so I have learned to say, I'm gonna wait on that item, because in the end, if I pick it up, when you guys see it in my store, I don't want it to be confusing to you, like, hey, you said you were gonna put that back. So generally, I will use that term when I'm not quite sure whether I'm really gonna buy it or not. The next question is from a woman named Fran. Hello, Fran. And she says, does eBay give you a monthly report on your videos, or do you keep track of it yourself? Fran, I think you might mean, does YouTube give me a monthly report? YouTube's algorithm is amazing. I think every selling platform, every video platform should copy what YouTube is doing. YouTube not only gives us a daily report, they give you the demographic for the age of your audience, how many people are watching, a live count of your subscribers. Like right now, if I was in my YouTube studio, it's called, and somebody subscribed, a little counter number would go up. The analytics are crazy good on YouTube. You can tell how much money you've made per day, per week, per month, for the year. You can tell what type of videos did better than others. YouTube also gives you the information of what other channels your viewers are watching. So you can take a look at those other channels and see if there's something you can improve on in your own videos. Truthfully, in the studio, in the YouTube studio, that's the behind the scenes look that we YouTube creators get. It is just such a wealth of information, and it really helps your channel grow if you use the app. This next question is from Mary Mac. Hello, Mary Mac. Do you take a day or two off per week, or do you work every day, even if just a few hours? Does it show? All right, so again, there is pre-YouTube and after YouTube. Well, it's not after YouTube, but you know what I'm saying? When I used to sell on eBay, and that was my sole career, that was my sole business, I did things a little bit different. I listed more than I'm listing now. I had to ship out more than I'm shipping out now. But generally, nowadays, since doing YouTube full-time and eBay full-time, I am probably working, I'm afraid to say it on camera. You guys are gonna like not understand this, but probably 70 to 75 hours a week. Generally, I have no days off. Hence, that's why I needed to come down to Florida and take a rest. So every morning when I get up, I have a clipboard with a list of what needs to be done. I have a list of imperative tasks, things that have to get done that day. And then there are other lists that might be important, but I don't have to accomplish it that day. And then there are future goals. So every day when I wake up, I am drinking coffee, trying to answer all of the social media questions that need to be answered. So whether it's on email or through Instagram, I'm trying to touch base with my subscribers and with my eBay buyers to let them know that I care about them. I care about providing a good service, whether it's creating videos or selling them a blouse. So I like to do that first thing in the morning. That's usually about 4 a.m. that I'm doing this. And then I get ready for my day. If I'm going thrifting, I'm out of the house usually by 8 or 8:30. If I am home for the morning, I am working on getting listings on, photographing, and the like. Now, I am on a 3-day handling time on eBay. That means every 3 days I have to ship out my items, but I try to ship out every day. Now, once in a while I do skip and I have that buffer of the 3 days. You know, I don't have to have my items out that exact next day. I used to do that. I used to be on immediate shipping, and that was quite the task with creating videos and going out. But every day, once I'm on the computer, which is right after answering all the social media questions, I am shipping out and I am working on what needs to happen for the day. I am charging camera batteries, I'm picking out outfits. Some days I'm doing my nails, putting on false eyelashes if I feel like, you know, I need a fancier look to a video. And I'm also planning my day of where I'm going to be shopping, what auction is going on, pretty much where I'm sourcing inventory. As many of you know, I don't only go thrifting, but I also do auctions, flea markets, yard sales. So having that routine and working every day is the only way that I could accomplish running full-time YouTube and full-time eBay. Ashley wants to know, do you promote your listings on eBay? To get right to the answer for you, I don't promote my listings. I have tried it several times, and here's my thinking on that. If you are listing items that are very common, say you're listing women's clothing and the brands that you're finding are pretty common, you might want to promote the listings and give it a try because your competition is high. So if you have, for instance, a Talbot size 12 blouse, you might want to think about promoting it to move your item higher up above the competition. But a lot of what I sell are more unusual items. So if I pick up a Native American turtle Indian rattle, you know, how many of these are there going to be? So a lot of times the items, especially the hard goods that I'm picking up, are not as common an item, and I don't feel the need to promote. So I hope that's helpful. All right, if it looks like my camera angle is shifting a little bit, is because I keep shutting off the phone and going into Instagram to write your questions. I thought this would work out a little bit differently, but it's good. It's all good. All right, next question up is from Rain's World. Thank you, Rain's World. What video editing software do you use for YouTube? I use Wondershare Filmora. So I'm not sure how Lisa and I chose that editing software, and I have been with Filmora for the full 4 years. It is a subscription. You can buy levels. I couldn't tell you what level that we have, but even the basic, when you first get Filmora, is plenty to get a channel going. It's pretty self-explanatory, but like I said previously, Lisa edits all my videos, so I think it's very easy. We'll check in with her. Lee, right across the screen if you like Filmora Wondershare. All right, next up is Carolina. Have you ever sold a golf bag? How do you ship it? Okay, and she has a second question. I have sold quite a few golf bags. Now, the golf bags that are meant to put your clubs in and bring on a plane, like for travel, those golf bags fold down. They are very large and they're a zippered bag. They're not like a hard bag like the ones that stand up on their own. They're more for travel. Those I fold carefully and I just ship them in a poly mailer. The larger standard golf bags I don't ship. You can just put them in a box, like you can wrap them with some paper and put them in a box that size. It's going to be very costly to ship that, but if it's a very good golf bag, it is worth doing that. So I'm going to say just know ahead of time, secure your box. When you have something large to ship or something really awkward or that needs a lot of packing material, before you even list the thing, secure your box. It just makes it much easier. And that way, when you list your item, you just go in and you put the dimensions of your box and you weigh your item in the box. I cannot stress how important it is to fill your listing in with all of the correct shipping information. That way, when the item sells, you don't get caught with having to overpay because you put in a box smaller or you thought it wouldn't weigh as much. Don't take guesses. Buy yourself a postal scale. You can get them on Amazon. I think I might even have a postal scale that I use linked in my Amazon favorites, which is in the description box of this video. Guys, every video that I create, you can hit the word more right under the title. So when you come into my YouTube and you see the title of the video, right underneath that will be the word more. I think YouTube could improve on giving more of an explanation of where all the show's notes are. Many of you that are new to YouTube do not know that a whole box opens up, and that box will have the description for that video. It will have links to Roger's channel, to Melissa's channel, you know, all kinds of things. Did I say Roger's channel? I'm trying to get Roger to do a channel. I meant Roger's eBay store. He'll love that. Here's a funny story. We'll just go down a rabbit hole quick. So I'm here 7 days, and on day 3 I knew I had to come up with 2 videos, and I texted him. I said, hey sweetie, do you want to do a channel takeover, you know, meaning that he would create the video? I thought that would be great fun. He was having none of it. He's like, I don't think that's my expertise, or I don't think I have that kind of expertise. I think I threw him for a loop. I think I made him nervous, and he was definitely not making a YouTube video. But leave a comment down below if you think Roger should start his own channel. I think he's a natural. Now, in real life, many people think he's shy. Roger is not really shy. He is the most loving, people-loving person I have ever met. He talks to all of the people that come up to us in the thrift store. So many times Roger and I are not thrifting together. I'm home working on a video or doing listings, and he'll be out shopping. Roger shops probably 4 or 5 days a week. When I say shop, I mean thrift. And all of my subscribers and followers will recognize him right away and come over and talk with him, take pictures with him. He's the most gracious person I have ever met. So shout out to you, honey, except for not taking over my channel. I think that would have been great fun. The second part of Carolina, I hope I'm saying your name right. Second part of her question, any tips on how to know when a Coach or a Dooney and Burke are genuine? There are a ton of videos out, and you can just Google that. There are very good articles on how to tell a genuine from a fake. Now, please understand, at the level that I'm at now, I don't do anything that's going to risk my store, because my store is my main support. Well, it's my only support besides Facebook Marketplace. This is how I earn my living. Most years I'm selling over $100,000 worth. I think last year it was a little bit less. It was $96,000 that I sold, and that was because I stepped up my game on YouTube, and YouTube surpassed eBay. So if you're planning on selling any kind of designer bag, whether it be Coach or Dooney and Burke or Prada or whatever, always make sure that you have a real bag. You don't want to risk your eBay store. They will shut you down because selling fakes is illegal. End of sentence, no matter who you are. I often wonder how thrift stores can sell fake bags so readily, and I have no answer for that. But I keep my head down and take care of my own business. I don't sell a lot of handbags. If you look at my store, most of what I'm selling is either vintage Coach, those are very easy to tell, and they weren't as heavily faked like the dinky bag or something like that. You can see the quality. But fakes have gotten very, very good. It's hard to tell. So generally I don't. eBay does have an authentication program now. So if you're listing something that's high end, I don't know if this is ceiling to the price, like with sneakers or whatever. Like sneakers, anything over $100, the sneakers have to go through eBay's authenticity program. I would imagine they have a certain cap if you're listing a bag, and it has to be authenticated. But my best advice is, if you're just starting out, or if your eBay income is really important to you, I wouldn't risk my store. Next on the list is Mom with a Booty. I was wondering if you use a camera to take photos, I guess my eBay photos, and what editing software you edit with. I do use a camera. I use my phone sometimes for large items. When I'm just laying them out on the floor, I'll just grab my phone, but generally I use a camera with a chip. I take all of my pictures at once, so at any given photo session, I'm taking between 300 and 600 photos. That sounds like a ton of work. When you get good at it, you can accomplish that, I'm gonna say in 2 hours, and I'm not editing every photo. I used to edit every photo, I don't have time. So because my days are so full, I really have to pick and choose what tasks I'm doing, and editing every photo has definitely fallen by the wayside, but I use Picasa. Picasa, I believe, is a free program that you can just Google and you can get the editing software. You can brighten your photos, crop them. My best advice for selling on eBay, take a lot of photos. The more photos you have in your listing, the more you get moved up in the search ranks. So if I have, say, an oil painting and I put 2 photos of the painting, or if I have the same painting and I put 12 photos, eBay rewards clear photos. They still love a white background. You don't have to have a white background. Google prefers it also, and it moves you up in the search rank. So when you look at items that are very high up in a search rank, take a look at the photos and see what kind of quality photos that seller is putting out compared to somebody just putting the item, on the floor with bad lighting and they have 1 or 2 pictures. The next question is from Rose Teen. Some of these user ID names have been shortened because some of them are just letters or initials, and I hope I'm saying your names right if those are your first names. Rosine wants to know, how long do you spend on average to post your inventory items? Okay, again, before YouTube and after YouTube, big difference. When I was just selling on eBay, I did not have a YouTube channel. I probably listed between 100 and 150 items a week, probably closer to the 100. And I batch listed. I learned this, again, very early on. Say I wanted to get 30 items listed for the day. I put 30 items, say it was clothing, on a pile to the left of me. I have my station in front of me, which most times is either the wall with a hanger for clothing, or it is just white poster boards or foam boards from Dollar Tree in front of me. My lighting is set up, and then I have a table or a cart to the right of me. I pick the item up. Let's say it's a blouse on a hanger. I pick the item up, sometimes it's off a clothing rack, I put it on the wall, I take photos, probably 2 or 3 from the front, photos of the tag, flip the item, take photos of the back, and then any inner tags with the material content, things like that. And then from that position, it goes to the right. That one's done. That took me all of, I'm gonna say 10 seconds for a blouse. Now to measure and weigh it, that is a separate task. So I batch my tasks so that I'm doing the same repetitive task. I don't stop to weigh and measure that blouse there. To me, I find I can become the quickest with just taking an item, put it on the wall, photos, put it to my right. Next item, and I just keep doing that. Once those 30 items are on the right, then I just bring them over to the table. I have my tape measure and scale right there, and I measure them. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm gonna say from the time I start photographing till a listing is live, I can probably do a listing in, I'm gonna say 2 to 3 minutes. When I was first selling on eBay, I wrote books and stories in the description. I no longer do that. I stopped doing that long ago. I know eBay's AI, the artificial intelligence, will write your listing for you. Truthfully, I think they're ridiculous. It's almost like they've written a fairy tale about your Talbot's blouse. It's crazy. What I do is I create my title with all of the important keywords first, and then with whatever characters of the 80 characters I have left, I'll put in descriptive words. So my formula is usually the brand, the gender, the size, what it is, and then descriptive words. So I might put Talbot's women's 12 boxy blouse, or button-down blouse, and then I'll put multicolored, short sleeve, and all the other descriptive words. I then copy that exact title and I put that as sentence number 1 in my description further down the listing. Right underneath that, I put the measurements. That is all I'm saying. because eBay has created these listings with so many item specifics. You're filling in everything that a person would need to know. I don't need to say, this blouse would be lovely for the office. No, the person knows where they want to wear this blouse to. You don't have to tell them like an evening cocktail dress is for that special party. I don't think they need that. So I just try to really tighten down my listings, and that way it saves me a lot of time. And also, if you start putting things out of your imagination, the person's going to want to return it. Like I used to put papaya orange, a flowy blouse. No, because they might not think papayas are that color orange, or that blouse might not be flowy on their body. They might be a bigger person and the blouse winds up being tight and they say, hey, I want to return this. You said this was flowy. So you see what I'm saying? I try to keep everything streamlined, and that is how I'm accomplishing as much as I can. I'm always honing my skill. I don't learn something one way and keep that technique until the end of the career. I'm always trying to groom it, trying to get to the point where I can pump out the work, have accurate listings, and just have time for other things. This is going to be a very long video, not even like a little bit through all of these questions. All right, this person has initials, so I won't try to pronounce that. Do you ever get tired? How do you do it all? I am turning 64. I do get tired. I've noticed a change in my body these past few years. I've always been a high energy person, and I still have high energy, but I could see the change in my body. When I start to get tired, it's more mental fatigue than it is physical. My physical body still feels great, and I attribute that to fairly clean eating. I always drink a lot of water. I exercise. I walk almost every day. I'm walking, I'm going to say a mile or more, because when my body gets tired, I can tell it's from too much sitting. Like if I'm at the computer and I'm sitting for 3 hours at a time, that is more exhausting to me than if I have played a round of golf. It really is. So I know if my body is tired, I need to get a little more exercise in there. And if my mind is tired, I need to do something fun and something totally different than work. So Roger and I will do different things together, which is a great help. It just revives me and my soul and my mind, and it's just a lot of fun. We'll either play putt-putt golf, and we're very competitive. So we'll do putt-putt golf like with a prize or something totally different from work. And I'm gonna say in like an hour or two, I feel much better. And also, one of my greatest pleasures in life when I'm tired is to soak in a very deep hot tub. I have always loved being immersed in water, hence that's why I'm here at Anna Maria. I have done a lot of swimming. The other night I went down to the beach and I swam for like 2 hours. You would think I was exhausted, but I felt amazing. And then a long walk back to the car. I felt like I had just woken up. So being submersed in water, I know that's very strange. I take a lot of baths. I just fill the tub with water and get in and soak, and it just revives me. I know, TMI. What can I tell you? I tell you guys everything. Okay, I'm realizing I have over 100 questions, so obviously it's going to take me days to answer, but we're going to consider this a part one. I'm going to do a few more answers, and then I will save all of the questions and hopefully do this again on a regular basis. You guys are really inquisitive, and I love that. I love that all of my subscribers and watchers want to know different things, and that is just a testament to what wonderful subscribers I have. Talking about subscribing, when I look at the YouTube analytics, only half of the people that are watching my videos are subscribed. And that is kind of like a conundrum. How do I get you guys to push the subscribe button? So if you haven't already, would you consider subscribing to my channel? It doesn't cost you anything. And all you have to do is hit the button. And even if you never watch my channel again, which we don't want that to happen, it doesn't cost you anything, and it's very easy to do. All right, I'm going to get on with the next question. Kelly from Kelly Really Vintage. Hello, Kelly. How are you? I watch Kelly on Instagram. I don't think Kelly has a channel. Do you have a channel, Kelly? I don't think so. She wants to know, what is the hardest part of YouTube? You know, when I started YouTube, I just jumped in. I made that first video. I watched it back and said, oh, heck no, I'm not doing this. There's nothing like putting yourself out on social media for the world to critique. It is like nothing can prepare you for that. I don't know how really famous YouTubers do it, but I have to say that the majority of people on my channel are just lovely. I feel so like just thrilled and blessed to have you guys with me. The hardest part of YouTube for me is the uncontrollable. So because my channel is about reselling, it puts me out in public a lot, and I never thought this out before I created the channel. So when I go into a thrift store or into an auction house or just generally out in the public, I'm dealing with a lot of things I can't control, whether it's somebody passing in front of the camera and that has to be cut out during the editing process, a baby screaming, people testing vacuums. You get to the thrift store and there's nothing good to buy, so now the 2 hours of footage you just filmed is really lackluster. So YouTube in itself is not that hard in my opinion. I started out filming on my phone, so all I had to do was hit record. So that in itself is not hard. But as you develop your channel and you really try to just improve on the video before it, it does become a little more difficult. What helps is getting paid from YouTube. I make thousands of dollars every month with my videos. So is it a hard job? It's hard in the fact that you can't control the environment around you. You can be out filming and it starts pouring rain, and now you have to scrap that video or wait to another day. There are a lot of moving parts to this business, but I do love it and it does pay very well. So thank you, Kelly. Love you, hope all is well. All right, Flipping Hubby, that was a longer name, I just cut it down. Was July slow? Flipping Hubby, I have learned not to even pay attention to when eBay is slow. Generally, summer months are slower because people are traveling, they're doing activities with their children, they're outside more, not on their phones as much. So generally for me, summer is more of a slowdown, but I do see a big uptick when I start throwing a lot of listings on. So if I get into a slow period and I want eBay to pick up, now let's just stop right there. You're probably saying, why wouldn't you want eBay sales to pick up? Because I'm doing YouTube and Facebook Marketplace, I have to regulate what I'm doing. I can't have 50 items sell when I need a video put out and I need to bring 5 items. But sometimes I purposely slow down my sales on eBay. Not often, but that does happen. And some days when sales just naturally are slow that day, I look at Roger and I say, oh, thank goodness, because I have a ton of stuff to do today, so I take it as it comes, just ebb and flow. If you want to keep an eye on it, I suggest you look at your sales monthly. Don't look at it every day. Monthly tells more of the story than daily does, and you can drive yourself crazy looking at it daily. All right, next up, Maria says, how will you retire if you decide to liquidate your inventory? Maria, that's a good question. I think I have about 3,500 listings, which translates probably to about 5,000 to 6,000 items in my basement warehouse, because many listings have more than one part. Like if you're selling a grouping of coffee mugs, it might be 6 mugs. So now you have 6 items in your basement. So how am I going to get rid of all of this when it's time to retire? I have actively for the past couple of years been planning for my retirement. So it's not like one day I'm just going to wake up and say, okay, I'm retiring. How do I get rid of all of this stuff? And let me just say as a side note, I often apologize to my children because I think if I die earlier than expected in life, if something happens, to my kids, I am so sorry that you have to deal with all of this. Now, of course, I have a will in place and all of the things that you need to have in place, but I do not have a way to get rid of all of the inventory if I have to do it in one day or 1 week. So I imagine I'm gonna do an estate sale when I wanna really pare down my inventory. I think about bringing an estate company in just to auction it off, because that way people can come into the house and we'll just sell it off that way, and it'll be pennies on the dollar. And that's the way I plan on doing it. I might come up with another plan or two, but to just stop listing and let it sell off naturally will take longer than you think, because when you stop listing on eBay, it does slow things down dramatically. We all know that eBay is a hungry beast, and the more you list, the more you're going to be moved up in that search rank I was talking about. So we have a couple of things in place, and I am planning on retirement. Now, does it really mean not working? No, because I do love doing what I'm doing, but I will probably switch to selling things that are very easy, like postcards or jewelry, something that is not as labor intensive as to what I'm doing now. Benita Bailey, I think I got your name right, Benita. I keep looking at that side of the camera. If you see me doing that, I normally have my camera flipped the other way. So the lens right now is on my phone on this side, and I keep looking that way. So that's what that's about. I'll try to look at the green dot. Also, I wanted to say, if you are a new YouTuber and you are practicing, you really want to find out where the lens on your phone or your camera is. I know that sounds like a silly tip, but I see more new YouTubers not looking at the audience. They are looking at themselves. So when you film on your phone, I'm sure you guys realize this, the little green dot is where the camera is. So right now I'm looking at you, and right now I'm looking at myself. See the difference there? If you want to connect with an audience, you really have to look at the camera lens. All right, figured I would throw that in. You know me, always getting off track. The next one, Benita Bailey, how do you keep track of everything? Benita, this is probably my number one question out of all the questions I've gotten in my eBay career. So good question. I am not a person to create spreadsheets, to keep an inventory of what I paid and where I bought it for every item. To me, that has never made sense. I do very much keep every receipt for every item I buy, and I use it as a group. So I have categories for my accountant. I have an accountant do my taxes, but I add all of this up. So I keep categories for what I spend on thrifting, what I spent at the auction, what I spent for the inventory for the booth, all of my deductions, all of my expenditures. That's what I'm keeping track of. What my phone bill is, how much gas I used, or mileage. I keep track of mileage that my car traveled to go to these places. So a spreadsheet to keep track of that I bought a blouse for $2.22, and then I listed the blouse on this date, and then the blouse sold, and this is what I made. I don't keep track of all of that. Now, some of you, that might scare you, that idea, and if you love spreadsheets, I say go for it. But my whole business when I first started selling was based on what Scavenger Life was doing. Do you guys know Scavenger Life? I always talk about them. This is Jay and Ryan. They are a couple that had a podcast. I'm so sorry they don't do the podcast anymore. It used to be on Mondays, I think. And I listened to their podcast. I took notes. They are called Long Tail Sellers, and their whole premise was to find wonderful things and keep it really simple. Keep it as simple and don't overthink it. So I do have all of my receipts, and just recently I started using my Apple credit card for business only. So I don't use it for my personal. I have other cards for that, but I use Apple Card because I pay with my phone at most registers. I earn 3% back, which I always want to try to use a credit card to earn points, because in a business you're buying a lot. You're not only buying inventory, but you might be buying cameras and furniture and things you need, lighting, mannequins, whatever. And all of those things are a write-off, but it's nice to get a percentage back on those things. So that is pretty much how I keep track of things. The only thing that I pretty diligently keep track of are my miles and my receipts. I keep every receipt, every paper receipt I get in a clear poly bag with the month marked on it. And then when I sit down to do my taxes, I do have the task of adding it up and putting it into, different categories. So that usually takes me a day or two, and I'm always happy when taxes are done. For those of you who might not know, every reseller has to pay income tax. It's not a choice. So in the past, because eBay or any given platform was not handing out 1099s, a lot of people thought you didn't have to pay taxes, but recently the government really started enforcing this. So say I never kept track of it and never paid taxes, which I have from day one. I don't want you to be confused. Once you file, they're going to say, well, what happened last year? What happened the year before? So you really want to get your ducks in the row, get your house in order for paying taxes, and have a good system that works for you. Like I said, some people are really going to like spreadsheets. I'm not a fan. I don't want to spend my time doing that when I can spend my time selling As long as I'm doing everything correctly, it works for me. 4 or 5 more questions, and then I will just insert a little video collage of what my trip down here to Florida has been. Now, like I said, the water for the first couple of days, I came in last Wednesday, was like bath water, and it was calm, and I could not get enough. And then Debbie, Cyclone Debbie, now I think we're calling it Hurricane Debbie, has hit Florida. So yeah, I've been in the house a lot. And during that time, I've had a couple of events that were crazy. The winds were quite high, so I did stay inside. But I did have to deal with a few things. The alerts going off on my phone and saying to myself, okay, if this is a tornado, because we got a couple of tornadoes in the general area, they weren't really strong tornadoes. Where are you going to go in a tornado? I mean, I know to get as low as you can, and I know to stay away from like windows and things that can fall on you. But I mean, there was really nowhere to go. So there was that. And then last night, early this morning, the fire alarm went off in the whole condo complex. So there I was getting out of bed in my pajamas with no contact lenses in, thinking, okay, what noise is that? Because I knew it was a different alarm than the tornado alarms that we've been hearing on our phones. And I was like, okay, so there I was in my pajamas downstairs in the parking lot in the pouring rain with firefighters coming to our rescue, and it turned out to be, thank goodness, a false alarm. I think lightning maybe had triggered it, but I'm going to include a few still shots and a few videos of what my trip has been like. All right, next question, chit chat. Let's see, where am I? I did that one. Where did you thrift on Long Island? What did you do before reselling? When I got started in reselling, I always tell this story. I was speaking to my daughter Mellissa, Freshbloominclothing. She had been a reseller for quite a few years, and I was making the move to Pennsylvania, and she suggested that I jumped into reselling. Now, if you know me at all, when I jump into something, I am off the high diving board, whether I can swim or not. I'm just that type of person. When I finally decide, now I do think about my decisions in life, but when I go for something, I am the all-in kind of girl. There's no hesitation. I get up on the high diving board, I jump in, I learn to swim. That's pretty much my personality. So when I decided to start selling on eBay, I made up the name Lavenderclothesline for no other reason other than I thought it sounded fresh, I thought it sounded good, done. I registered on eBay, I went to the thrift store, I think I bought between 90 and 100 items. I came home, I taught myself to list with a lot of Melissa's help, and away we went. So I know that's a crazy way to do it. Most people will, dip their toe in the water and start a little bit slower, but I was an all-in kind of person. So the thrift stores, again, I just Googled thrift stores by me and went to every single one. I went to Savers, I went to every Goodwill. I found all the mom and pop ones, the charitable ones, and I mapped them out on a paper map, and away we went. That is how I found out where I love to thrift, and I also did a lot of yard sales. I wasn't doing auctions or flea markets at the time. We didn't have as many auctions. I was from the North Fork of Long Island. And what did you do before reselling? So along with many other temporary jobs, I was running a business with my ex-husband. He wasn't my ex-husband at the time. We had a business for many years. I homeschooled my 3 children, and as the kids were older and were graduating, I managed a fitness studio, and that's the job that I was doing. It was a spin studio along with yoga and TRX. And I got up very early in the morning, and I worked there, I think it was 4 days a week. That allowed me the freedom to get into eBay. That worked out really well. And then I moved to Pennsylvania, rinse and repeat, and did the same thing, growing my eBay business. Can you give a shout out to Haylin Vintage, Lynn? Hello, Lynn. A shout out to you, and hello to a fellow YouTuber. All right, do you have best offer on your items? I don't know who this one is from. Forgive me, I don't think. Maybe you had initials for your name. Do you have best offer? I almost never do best offer. It's just, I don't care for best offer. I'm just gonna say that. When I find an item and I launder it and I steam it and I take very good care of my inventory and I clean, and keep everything very organized, and I post it for a certain price, I will run sales. I run a new sale almost every 48 hours, if not more. And I do anywhere between 35 and 50% off. That's just my business model. I don't want, Joe Smith to say, hey, you want 40 for this, can I give you 5? I don't have time to deal with all of that. And could I be missing out on sales? Maybe, but even when you don't have best offer turned on, if somebody wants something bad enough, they're gonna message you and say, hey, I noticed you didn't have best offer, will you take X amount? Almost always, if it's a decent offer, if it's very close to the price, I will consider it. It's very rare I take it. I do write back to them saying, I'm so sorry, I wouldn't make any profit. Like if it's not a good offer, I wouldn't make any profit after paying for the eBay store subscription fees, the promotion fees, the insertion fees, the gas, the price of the item. We pay a lot. So people that are not knowledgeable about that, buyers, don't realize that when you sell an item after income tax and stuff, you're hopefully making between, I'm going to say 40 and 60%. My general profit rate on what I sell after everything is about 60%. That's what I strive for. That's after paying taxes and everything. So best offers for me it's a time waster. I'm just going to say that. All right, where do you keep your inventory? M. Fuller, do you not know me at all? Have you not looked at my videos? I'm just kidding. I keep, I'm going to say everything down in my basement. I bought the house that I'm in to sell eBay out of. Now, I did need a place to live. I was renting, looking to buy a house, but my main objective was to find a house that I could purchase that would give me the space to house great inventory so that I didn't have to pay storage fees. If you have to pay storage fees, that can eat up a huge portion of what you're making on any given platform. And you're housing all of the stuff till it sells. So say I have this coffee cup, it's really teacup. I have this teacup for sale. I don't want to pay for storage for this cup times 1,000 until they sell. I knew that I wanted to run the business completely out of the house, and I wanted a separate space for it. I didn't want all of the inventory to be in my personal living space. So I very much got focused and told my real estate agent, I want a house that has good light and good storage. Those were my two parameters. It wasn't as important for how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what color the cabinets were. I mean, I wound up renovating the whole house, which I'm sure you guys have seen. But at the end of the day, I want to be able to keep the majority of the money that I am making and working so hard for. Severna Park, hope I'm saying that okay. What is the biggest hurdle in making videos? Do you edit your own videos? The biggest hurdle, I think, again, will be that you can't control, if you're filming out in public and not just in your own house, like let's say you have a cooking channel, you can control a lot of what's happening because it's in your own kitchen. You have your ingredients, they're in the house, you have your apron on, all the things, right? There's not too much that's going to be a surprise in your kitchen unless you set the stove on fire or something. But when you go out into the general public, to the stores, thrift stores and yard sales, there are so many different things that can hurt your video, that can demonetize your video. I talk about this all the time. If you go into a store and they are playing trademark music, rest assured, your video is not going to make money. YouTube cannot be able to hear the music at all, and they have a very good system that catches that. I don't know what to call that. Very good software program. And your video will come back and it'll say, this video cannot be monetized. So you don't want to get to a store and have them playing loud music. That's why I chat so much. I chat so much normally anyway. But you know what I'm saying? So the biggest hurdle is probably not being able to control what's out in public. And I think one more thing would be being too critical on yourself. I'm pretty critical on myself. I've gotten better, but yeah, that first video, I was like, oh my gosh, heck no, I don't want to put myself out there. And now it's like, okay, here we go. I'm doing this thing. All right, guys, I love you all madly. Please hit that like and subscribe button. I appreciate it. And now let's get to the little video montage of what my trip to Anna Maria, Florida has been like. Thanks so much for watching. Go out and get what's yours. So it is about 9 a.m. and I figured I would get out quickly and go for a walk along the beach. So gorgeous. The water is like bath water. Is this not beautiful? This is one of my favorite vacation spots ever. I've been coming here every year for about 10 years now, and it does not disappoint. Now, while there is quite a crowd down at the other end, this side of the beach is pretty empty, and it is just stunning. So I'll probably throw my suit on one last time before the cyclone hits. Yep, we're getting a cyclone. Every time we're down here, I'm dealing with some kind of weather event, but that is Florida. It usually passes quite quickly. But this is what the beach is looking like this morning. Years ago, before I came here for the first time, I never realized we had such gorgeous beaches in the United States.